What up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Nerd Gen Report, The Void. Show that we sort of discussed the little headlines that come out that people may or may not pay attention to, but we pay attention because it's important for the stuff that we want to talk about, and it can affect those big IPs, those big franchises, those big movies that we're looking forward to seeing and that are interested in. We're going to talk about a little bit about the Star Wars succession, because that's certainly happening despite the on and off resignation. Psych! Ballerina, box office, misfire. We had a conversation about the not the superhero genre, but female-led movies. This is just another, I guess, proof of what likely could happen with Supergirl, although we don't think it will because of sort of the groundwork that they're putting in front of this and the people that they're putting in front of this, right? Mm-hmm. And what sort of they attempted to do with Ballerina, and it didn't work. We got some Odyssey updates, and that's pretty much it, I think. So Star Wars, when Kennedy leaves, we've mentioned some names that could possibly take over. Filoni, Favreau. I don't know if he's up. Is he still in the running for possibly being...
He's not listed in this Hollywood Reporter piece as being a...
Yeah, I think he's done.
I just think he wants the flexibility. I don't think he wants to be locked into that one thing.
Yeah. But Filoni is certainly the top name on the list of possibilities, along with someone else. I forget who it was. But let's talk about Filoni and his tendencies. We saw with Ashoka. There was a flashback scene where I think they were going back to the Clone Wars, and they were on this battlefield. And based on what he's done in the past, he's done a lot of animation, telling stories, prequel stories of the things that led up to the Star Wars that we know. Clone Wars, all these things. I have my reservation for Filoni because of his style of telling stories. What are your thoughts, Brian, on the possibility of Filoni and I think someone else taking over Star Wars?
So the Hollywood Reporter was talking about Hollywood succession in general, and Star Wars was one of the things that they focused on. So Kathleen Kennedy, 72 years old, still an expectation that she will step aside sometime in the near future. But hold that thought again. Yeah. And the two things that were floated by Hollywood Reporter was there was a thought that former 20th Century Fox head Emma Watts might be a somewhat outsider they would consider, but she's no longer really being considered. And the current thinking is it's an internal promote where Dave Filoni and the head of production, Carrie Beck, take over as the co-heads of Lucasfilm. But the story makes clear something you're alluding to. The main reservation on the part of Disney is that neither Filoni nor Beck has much film experience. Obviously, we're getting Mando Grogu next year. That's really the first Filoni foray into the big screen. And it's interesting. The report says Filoni may be too concerned with the lore at the expense of alienating casual viewers. As one inside source puts it, he's the Ahsoka guy, not the Andor guy. And I think that's right. I think that's the Filoni issue in a nutshell. Is there's a lot of nerds who like what he's done to build the storytelling around Lucas's foundation. But I think there's a lot of people who don't like him from the standpoint of like, it's not accessible, it's inconsistent. And I think from our perspective, watching the work on Disney Plus, there's a sense of scale and a sense of visualization that you need for big screen storytelling that I don't think we've seen him deliver, even in the small screen setting. And I say that because Andor absolutely translates to the big screen. If you wanted to throw Andor on IMAX or a 70 millimeter screen tomorrow, you could do it. Shows like Shogun, you could put a lot of that on the big screen and it would look fine. But there's a lot of stuff in this volume-made Filoniverse where you're like, you can get away with it on TV, but it already looks shaky there. And if you ran a scene like that on the big screen, it would look cheap and not play that well.
Yeah.
So I think it's a fair concern that as well versed in Star Wars as he is, and there's no question he is his upside as a studio head too limited for what Star Wars ultimately needs and what Disney needs Star Wars to be in the long run?
Well, we have to think about this. He'll be the studio head. He won't be the guy behind the camera, right? So there's the positive side of that. Because I don't believe that whomever he hires to be in control of a film, I don't think it'll get that same aesthetic that he shows in his things. But if he is ruling with an iron fist and he wants things his way, then we have a problem. I don't think I'm too much of I'm not like a super nerd when it comes to the comic books. But I have a thing where story is key. The type of story that you want to tell visually, how can we pull it off? Small things that he's done that hasn't been impressive, that's forgettable, frustrating. Like that last in Ashoka, the scene that keeps popping up in my mind is when Ashoka puts the helmet on the girl and she repeats the exact same line that Luke Skywalker did. I'm like, this is what got you guys hyped that you needed to do this? It's those little things, Brian, that will bother me. That will bother me, and I'm sure will bother a lot of people. I don't know if Filoni is too much of a nerd that he'll want to just stick to certain things that would just get people uninterested in Star Wars, fan frustrated at what he's. It'll be a waste of money, I think.
I think the issue too is, you say he's not going to be behind the camera, but he kind of is, because if he's going to be the head of the studio, he's the one going to be greenlighting which ideas get made and which don't. And I think the point about he's the Ahsoka guy and not the Andor guy, what you're really saying is, would he have made Andor?
Hell no.
Would he greenlight Dawn of the Jedi? Because if you're not willing to do that, then Star Wars will never grow. And maybe that's fine for some people that it never does, right? We know there's people who are just like, yes, I mean, it's Skywalkers only, right? We know there's a faction that sees it that way. But
even Luke Skywalker himself said it is time to move on.
Yeah, Mark Hamill's over it. Yeah, I think that's fair to say. But I think that's the importance of that role, is to really recognize what Star Wars can be and to have vision for how to translate that to the big screen. Star Wars cannot live solely as Star Trek largely has, as a small screen enterprise. If Disney's going to continue to own this, and we know they kind of put some feelers out to shop this. We know that happened. At least to just see, what's the number you'd give. It has to be a big screen blockbuster type thing. So I'll give you, he's not the right choice. But if you were going to do a partnership and you were going to try to balance, hey, how do I get spectacle with some outside the box thinking, and then I have a nerd on the inside. So if you were going to pair, let's say you're all right, I got Filoni. Let's say I got to pair him with somebody to save him from himself. And it's 1989 right now. It's if you paired him with Jerry Bruckheimer, that would be interesting to me, right? Not because Jerry Bruckheimer is the be all end all of movies. No, but he understands blockbuster. And at his peak, when he's churning out Top Gun and Crimson Tide, and The Rock and Con Air, when he was churning, and Armageddon, when he's putting those movies out, if nothing else, he understands what audiences will go to the theater to see. And he's working with different films. So you paired him with the nerd, now you might have this combination that's all right, I can drive that's still Star Wars, but will take me in directions to where I have potential to make billions. That's the issue they have right now, is they don't have that kind of person that they have confidence in, or they don't have that kind of person outside who's sitting there kind of available saying, hey, I'll come in and help you with this.
Yeah.
So kind of what Amazon is trying to do with Bond, right? It sort of makes sense. They grabbed a guy who did the Harry Potter movies. Why? Because the Harry Potter movies are blockbuster movies. He understood IP and he understood blockbuster. It's not that he understood spy. That's not his job. His job is to get stuff big. They will presumably put someone else in the room who's more like Bond acquainted or, spy familiar to kind of help with that. That's the trick. Yeah. But Star Wars right now, nothing is certain. Like this Mando Grogu movie, like we've talked about it. Like I don't really know what success for that is. I don't think it's $1 billion movie. Like I think Disney's looking at Lilo and Stitch and being like, that's Mando and Grogu a year from now. I think that's what they think. But I'm not convinced. Not based upon the way the Mandalorian show has been received. Like I kind of feel like that, 500 might be a really good showing for that movie. And I don't know if Disney will view it that way.
Yeah.
But I think an outside voice would be a good move. A noble experiment. It might be a disaster, but I think it would be a noble experiment. Because what you got right now is a mess. Yeah. And the other thing the Hollywood Reporter said is that even if Kennedy steps aside, she would retain producing control over select projects. You can't do that, man. That doesn't work.
You sold it to Disney, yo. You didn't sell it to Kathleen Kennedy. Well, I'm telling you, man, she got a book or tapes.
Because, think about it. They cut George out of the process entirely, but they can't cut her out? Think about that. They cut George 100. They took his scripts for 7, 8, and 9, said, thank you very much. They were like Tom Cruise on the first day in Maverick, putting them in the bin. That's what they did to his scripts. And then they made something totally different. But Kathleen Kennedy is going to still have an office and she's still going to produce some of the Star Wars projects, even in retirement. What is going on here?
She got something on him, yo. That's the only thing. That is the only thing. You can't convince me of anything otherwise.
That's why she's Kathy Palpatine, man. You cannot get rid of her.
You know what I think about that Palpatine situation, yo. This dude got thrown, and then the thing exploded. How do you come back?
He exploded, and the Death Star exploded.
He ain't had no chance to pass his consciousness to who? Everybody's gone.
Everyone!
Ballerina box office misfire, Brian.
Oh boy. Okay.
When did the announcement of John Wick being a part of this come? Did it come way after the announcement of the movie?
Yes. Yeah, it's a great question. It's a great point and a great question. And I think this movie we are lensing this a little bit with an eye towards Supergirl in particular. We have done a show, you can go find it, female-led action and superhero films and the challenges they've historically faced to be commercially successful. There are obviously some big wins, right? Like Wonder Woman, Patty Jenkins, and Gal Gadot, huge win, $800 million. But there have been a lot of misfires, and they're all over the place, right? You have stuff like Catwoman, which never had a chance to be successful, right? There's stuff like that, right? Where there's you just doomed from the start. But then you also have this group of projects which are critically acclaimed, but the audience just says no, right? So Furiosa last summer was a great example, right? Got a lot of good reviews, directed by George Miller, has an up-and-coming actress, Anya Taylor-Joy, and the audience was just like, no thank you. It never showed up. Ballerina, which obviously is a spin-off of the highly successful John Wick franchise, originally did not have Keanu Reeves in the movie. So the first cut of this movie is Ana de Armas as another assassin from the same school. It doesn't have Chad Stahelski directing. It has Len Wiseman directing, who's kind of an average action director. He did like the Live Free or Die Hard. He did the Total Recall remake. Like he's okay, but not amazing. And by all accounts, the first cut of this movie was terrible and audiences hated it. So they reshoot it. And in the reshoot, they bring in Chad Stahelski and Keanu Reeves. So they bring in the actual A-team. So Stahelski apparently shot and choreographed the new footage. Keanu shoots a secondary supporting part in the movie. And lo and behold, reviews are pretty good. I was shocked. This is like 75, 76% right now on Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes audience score, 94.
Wow.
Cinema score, A-. So this checks all the boxes realistically you could have hoped for. This is as good as you could have hoped for in terms of the movie and the movie's response. The projected opening weekend box office was $36 million US, which isn't amazing. The budget's over 80, but it's not terrible. The actual is going to be 24 million. That is a disaster. And given that the response is as good as it is, it kind of just says audiences were like, it's not John Wick 5. And that's the concern for Supergirl, right? It's like as good as they can make it, and I think they're doing some smart things, but as good as they can make it, if Superman is really good, do people just say it's not Superman? I'll wait. That's the fear. That's the fear. And granted, an $80 million budget is not $250, right? An $80 million budget, you only need like $200, $225. So this movie probably isn't even going to get there. Like if you're doing 24 your opening weekend, maybe you're doing 40, 45 global, like maybe you're getting to like 100, you're still not making money. That's what I'm saying. Like it makes you nervous when you start to see things that turn out pretty good and the audience is just like, I just don't want this.
Mm. Or we're not really interested in this.
It could be, right? It could be a function of like, hey, we've had 4 Wick movies. They've all done progressively better, but it's just like, hey, there's been a lot of Wick now and kind of like maybe it's too late to have this spinoff. But certainly in the case of Mad Max, it's not like there was a ton of Mad Max. I mean, Mad Max Fury Road was 10 years before Furiosa. So it's like that was just a case of people just didn't want, they want the original. They don't want the spin. So, and I guess it begs the question of like, is the medium the right medium? Go back to Batgirl, right? The controversy of like stuff like this is what makes Zaslav look right. Mm-hmm. To be like, why am I spending money on Batgirl?
Something that nobody wants.
When a really good John Wick spinoff can't make money. Like, why am I putting that out? I saw a trailer the other day, sort of related. I don't know if you remember The Old Guard, the Charlize Theron,
yes,
sort of Highlander type movie. So they finally put out a trailer for the sequel. And like, obviously Netflix is keeping that streaming only. But I was watching that trailer thinking of Ballerina and thinking of Supergirl because I'm like, that's the alternative, right? It's like, that looks pretty cool. There's a scene of Uma Thurman basically doing an evil version of her Kill Bill character fighting Charlize Theron sword to sword. And you're like, I'll watch that on streaming. But would I have watched it if it was on the big screen? I don't know. And that's the kind of the question, right?
I mean, Jason Momoa's involvement, I think, is going to definitely be a big help.
Yep. Crypto's involvement is a help.
Yeah.
It is, man.
Yeah. But given the storyline, Brian, certainly this is not going to be rated R.
No.
I would say PG-13. Like they're giving, what did they give? They're giving Superman PG-13.
Superman's PG-13, yeah. But the budget's probably going to be that similar $80 to $100 million, I think is what we've heard. So again, you need that 250, 300 for it to really be considered a success. And it's like, we're finding that number is pretty hard for these female-led action projects to get to, even if they're decent.
Yeah.
Not impossible. As I said, we see like with Wonder Woman, like stuff like it's possible. It can be done. Like Ocean's 8 is the highest grossing Ocean's movie right now of the franchise. But like it's not the norm.
I didn't see that movie in the theaters.
I haven't seen Ballerina. I will say the reviews and the reaction for me made me at least think about it. I'm not sure if I will yet, but that's not one I had on my bingo card. But I at least was like, that's a lot better than I would have expected. Maybe I should go check it out. But clearly not a lot of other people are saying that.
Odyssey updates.
In movies that people will be going to see.
And a plethora of people will go see that movie.
Oh, my God.
The biggest advertisers for Odyssey will not only be the trailers that we see and Christopher Nolan, but the people talking about this movie.
Yes.
To other people. And that you have to go see this movie.
Yeah.
This movie has all the things that make WB slam the hand on the table. Why did we do what we did? And this dude just left and we could have had some of this. And now it's gone elsewhere and is doing amazing things. What are the updates for Odyssey?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think a big part of the buzz around this movie is going to be those who worked on it will never forget working on it. Like, which is unique when you think about who's involved. But that is really the buzz. It's like, I have never been a part of anything like this. And like the people saying that are people who have been a part of billion-dollar movies, right? Franchises. Yeah. Here's the thing that jumped out to me. So he's been shooting for 5 months. It was announced he's halfway done. This shoot is 10 months long. That never like shoots these days, if they're more than 3 months, are unusual, right? It's like an Avengers style movie if it's more than 3 months, and even that's like 6. 10 is preposterous. So listen to this. So this is where I'm like, is he filming the Odyssey or is he replicating the Odyssey? So the production so far, it started in the LA studios. Obviously, we know that. They've already shot on location all around Greece, all around Italy, Morocco. They're about to start shooting on the waters and coastline of Scotland, and they're already booked to shoot in Ireland, Iceland, and end up in the UK. All on location.
Wow.
He's basically making as many stops as Odysseus did. Like, I don't... Again, like, there's no one else who could have walked into a studio room and gotten people to sign off on this. Anyone else, they would have been like, this is a guarantee. And not only that, but like, you know, ancient Greek epic doesn't scream $2 billion to studio executives, right? There's a reason there's not a lot of those movies. So the fact that he's choosing period historical epic and he's got people being like, yep, that's a good, just call us when you want us to watch it. Like... And then has, right, so Matt Damon, right, we go over like Matt Damon, Tom Holland, Anne Hathaway, Robert Pattinson, Zendaya, Lupita Nyong'o, John Bernthal, Charlize Theron, like, among others. Like, you just don't see movies like this. Like, nothing like this happens.
I'm interested in hearing the conversations and especially for John Bernthal.
100%.
Like, how's he gonna play this? He can't be John Bernthal. He can't be Punisher. He can't be, you know what I'm saying? He can't be wisecracking. He gotta be something different. So I'm interested in how, you know, Zendaya has a part in this, and everybody, there's gonna be a transformation or performance here that I'm looking to see in this because of what he's doing. I think it can't be a Joaquin Phoenix in Napoleon. You know what I'm saying?
Great example. And I think even for Matt Damon, I'm fascinated. Because I think for Matt Damon, this is a reach. Like, if you see, to me, like, it's not quite Ledger playing the Joker. But if you said to me, like, what is quintessential Matt Damon? It's Matt Damon in The Martian. It's Matt Damon in Rounders. Like, that doesn't scream ancient Greek hero on a tortured journey home to me. But Nolan's worked with him, right? Like on Interstellar. So he sees something in the Matt Damon affect that he thinks translates to this grizzled leader of men back in Homeric time. Like, I think that's a big question about this movie is, like, he looks great. Damon with the beard and grit. He actually looks really good in the costume and the helmet. But what is he going to find as a performance to make me believe we're in ancient Greek times? And I think that's part of the beauty of this cast is, like, these people have to feel a competition with one another. Like, when they show up on set and they're opposite each other and they're like, and they're playing characters they haven't played before. Like, that's what I'm fascinated. Like, Nolan is great at extracting performance. It's like, what are these people going to look like? You think Bernthal's a great example. Like, this has probably got to be somewhat different Bernthal than we're used to.
Yeah.
So all of these people are probably going to be dealing with, you know, playing things we haven't seen. It makes it really exciting because they're all so talented, and this is all on location. Like, I mean, you know, I understand, like, you can't put Oscar Locks out, but he's never missed. And I'm just saying, like, with this cast and, like, with this type of story, if he delivers like a 10 out of 10 on the Odyssey, like, what's beating that? Like, what movie is topping that as an experience, spectacle, or quality of film? Because you can't beat the story. I mean, the underlying story he's basing it on obviously is, which is unusual, right? Nolan typically has not had a basis. He's always written original. So this is an adapted. But I don't know, man. Like, this is the event of 2026. Like, this movie. I wouldn't want to be anywhere near this on the calendar.
This is far from Super Helicopter.
I hope that's next, though. I still want him to do that. Are you kidding me? Oh, and plus, we didn't even mention, right? This is the first 100% IMAX with new IMAX tech. Like,
what is it gonna look like? Yeah. The hope is.
Here's a question. Here's what I was thinking about this because of the way Nolan films. This would never happen because of the way they work. But like, I was reading all this, and I was like, we're one step away from Chris Nolan trying to invent the time machine and actually going back to ancient Greece. I'm like, if Chris Nolan worked with Tom Cruise on a project, would they attempt something like that? Would they actually attempt to like create something that's impossible to try to make it real?
They have that thing in them to do what we're not thinking about doing, or what anyone's thinking about doing, which is one of the things that makes it curious enough for people to want to go see what they were able to accomplish.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that movie. I can't wait to hear the buzz. I can't wait for that movie to come out.
So there is a rumor, by the way, this is early rumor stuff. There is a rumor. This is where I get on other studios and other directors and other stuff. So as we said, the shoot is half done. I just told you how colossal it is and how many people that are in it. There is a rumor that he's got a teaser ready to go, and it's going to be attached to Jurassic.
Ooh.
Now that's a something.
Ooh. This is one of those things, those movies that you don't mind seeing the puppet already, like a shot.
Oh, the set photo.
You can give it away. You can give that away. A shot, just a shot, a frame, whatever, from behind and stuff, whatever. You don't mind it because you've never seen it. There's not a lot of expectations there in terms of what you would like it to see. All you know is that this dude built a puppet, and you can't wait to see it. So if he can show you a glimpse, it'll drive people crazy. But there was the last bit of tidbits that I had was, I don't know if we had talked about it. I think you even made mention, what if he would have done it? But there was a headline that they had reportedly considered Michael Bay to direct the standalone Henry Cavill.
Oh, yeah,
Superman.
You're right. Great call.
Yeah. What were your thoughts when you thought about it? Because we did make mention of what if, right? Michael Bay would have done something like a Superman.
I don't think he's the right guy for it. I would have been fascinated. I think he would have actually made Zack Snyder's destruction look like a small disturbance in the Force, given his track record.
Yeah.
But the issue is I don't think he could have credibly directed the Clark part and the more dramatic parts. That's not really his strength and never has been. And if anything, like, in movies where Michael Bay has been successful, like The Rock or Bad Boys, he does much better with like a wisecracking, sort of not self-serious. And quite honestly, he loves crude humor. Mm-hmm. That's not really Superman to me either. So I don't think that would have worked. But the visuals, he is great at action. Yeah. Like you would have seen some stuff. You would have seen Superman do some stuff that you've never seen before.
I think had he done it, it would have been interesting to see. I think it would have been a better movie, and I think than Man of Steel, than Zack Snyder's go around. I think so.
Well, no, he was contacted to do the sequel, right? The talk was he was going to do Man of Steel 2 if they had done it, not Man of Steel 1.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I agree with that. That's an interesting question. Would his Superman 1 have been better than Man of Steel? I still like a lot of Man of Steel, as flawed as it is. I still like a lot of that. I think it's some of Zack's better work. I don't know. That's an interesting one. I would have seen it. I mean, I would have been fascinated to see it. But no, I don't think it would have been. I think we would have had like as many cons as pros in our reviews. That would have been to me like a 3-star. The highs are really cool, but like there's a lot of garbage in here. Because like look what happened with Transformers, right? Like Transformers 1, where he's a little more restrained, is an excellent movie. But then like it gets progressively like he just leans into like the stuff and it just goes off the rails. But it's a weird world though, because we had that thing about Chris McQuarrie saying he had scripted and pitched like a Superman versus Green Lantern sequel. That was his version of Superman 2. And then we get the rumor that there was contact and talks of a Michael Bay Superman 2. And it's like, I guess the one thing I take from that is I just hope that if this Superman is successful, just let it be. Like let it grow naturally. Like the one thing I hear when I hear that is like y'all are trying to force stuff like Superman versus Green Lantern. Like, and what
I'm tired
BBS,
of versus.
like that's what I'm saying. Like you why?
This isn't a freaking Street Fighter. This
is just because they have that video game, right? There's the one where you can actually play as like Marvel versus DC.
Yeah,
I'm like, if you want the versus, go get that game. Like,
yo, I don't need to see a movie about it, man.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying, yo. The people in these rooms creating these movies, seeing the opportunities, don't really see the actual characters and the stories that can possibly be told to really make that money. These are just guys that are just, let's do a Superman movie.
Yeah,
whatever.
The most exciting thing on the board right now of the rumor mill, if we can get a good Superman movie out of the gate. The most exciting thing is if that Daniel Craig rumor as Brainiac is true. Let's get that on the board for Superman 2.
Yeah,
let's just focus on that.
Do you think Brainiac is a one and done?
No, absolutely not. Can't be. And I want to see. I mean, I know. Again, I always love the animated. Like, I want to see the one where he manipulates Lex. That's part of the fun of the Flashpoint Divided We Fall. That the best part of that is the reveal that like Lex has been duped as well by Brainiac. That's one of the best parts of that whole sequence. Because Lex in that moment is just as horrified as the heroes are.
Yes, so many possibilities.
Yeah,
but that Doom plot line of Batman against the Justice League. Even though, don't call it that. Even though I said it, don't call it that. Just call it Justice League Doom or whatever. What was the animated one called? Was it called
No, it was called Doom. It was called Justice League Doom. Yeah.
There was another name for the original one. Yeah. Let us know in the comment section below what you guys think of the possibility of Filoni taking over Star Wars. There's not a lot of people I would say that are excited about that possibility based on what he's done and what he's shown us live action. There's a lot of tendencies towards not Andor types. I think that the right now the foundation is Andor. We gotta go from there. I think. Forget about comedy and all the different ways you can do Star Wars. Perhaps in the future, but we gotta establish a footing where there's nothing but success and this IP is thriving before we start messing around with it. Supergirl has a tough feat to overcome. Hopefully with the assistance of Crypto and Jason Momoa, the movie can possibly have good fortune based on the history of how these type of movies play out. I guess to be the first to have, well, not the first, because we did have Wonder Woman. Were there any other ones outside of Wonder Woman that were like, because part 2 was horrendous, but I mean.
Well, it depends on what you consider Captain Marvel. I consider that an asterisk.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
If you count it, then it's the biggest. That's the biggest one. But I consider that, yeah.
Odyssey, that is what it is, man. That's it. Success and awe is all we can think about what Odyssey is going to give us on that when it actually finally comes out.
I think one of the great things about that too, just as an aside, is I think we have this elite class of directors now who know each other, who watch each other's work, and they can say it's not competition. But I do think
competition.
I think it's inspiration.
Yes.
So like I look at like I know like what Ryan Coogler did with Sinners. I know that like somewhere out there like Chris Nolan and Denis Villeneuve and those guys like took note of that. They're like, wow, that was that was a something. And then Nolan's going to drop his Odyssey, and it's going to be like those guys going to be like, damn, I gotta come up with something. You know what I mean?
I gotta step up my game.
But that's what you want. The great filmmakers see it as like, that's inspiration. I can use that, and I can bring that with my own skill and talent to give something else original. That's what you want. That's what makes these guys elite. And Villeneuve did that with Dune, right? He did something that people thought was impossible, an impossible to adapt book. He turned into a commercially, critically acclaimed, Oscar-nominated blockbuster. Can't wait to see his finale to that.
And Coogler talked to Chris Nolan while he was doing Sinners to sort of figure out the IMAX and how to use it effectively. So it's good. It's like, it's not competition and it's more inspiration. But I know that, I know in their mind, like,
wait till they get a load of me.
Yeah. Because what we keep hearing from directors and people who make movies is that they want to see their movies in the theaters. And I think Chris Nolan is at the top of that list of making movies for you to go see in the theaters and coming out. The mere definition of going to the movie theater and having an experience. I think he's on the list of attempting to do that each time out with his storytelling, his visuals, and just wanted to see things get better and better. And I think, that's what all directors should aspire to. And not just simply making a movie, but wanting people to go to the movies and come out with something, not disappointment. So, let us know in the comment section below what you guys think. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Comment in the comment section below and let us know your thoughts on what we've discussed. And we'll see you next time on the Nerd Jet Report.